Welcome to This Is My Code. I'm here today with Liam from Kablamo.
Thanks, Marc, for having me. Really appreciate it.
Could you tell us a little bit about Kablamo?
So we're a media consultancy and software house that's really cut our teeth in the media space, in particular around video delivery and sort of like that live and archival space.
So you've said some really key words there, which is sort of media, archival. That's really interesting. To me, that points to some artificial intelligence, machine learning, or maybe some data warehousing. Could you talk us through what you're doing in that space?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're really helping some of our customer base really look at how they can leverage some of their archival data. They have warehouses and hectares of tapes and film, but also around their live context as well, in terms of providing some video enrichment, particularly in the metadata space.
So metadata, you want to be able to look into these videos and see exactly what is being shown.
Absolutely. So ideally who's in it, what was said, and ideally any objects or text or otherwise or labels that were actually in the film at the time.
So could you run us through your solution that you're delivering to an Australian media provider? Yeah,
absolutely. So we're really big on the event-driven models. So whether it's coming off the AWS Elemental products as like a live to VOD, or whether it's come from another system or simply been dropped into an S3 bucket, we effectively have event-driven lambdas that basically fire that into Rekognition here. And we're going to go through an example where we're handling the output of a Rekognition job once it's complete. In particular, we're going to focus on the Celebrity API and the Labels API endpoints of Rekognition.
I'm a big celebrity watcher. Do you want to talk me through the code?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, we have our standard handler for a Lambda function, and we've done it here in Python today. But of course, you can do it in any of the languages supported by Lambda, so Golang, PowerShell. If you really, whatever floats your boat, you've literally got a number of opportunities. But here we've decided to do Python, predominantly because it's easier for operations and infrastructure individuals to work with.
Right.
So at the start, we effectively work on basically creating the clients associated with this piece. So we're really creating a Rekognition one to interact with that API, but also an S3 one to basically write the data out to allow the other events post this to basically fire off and do the transform.
Right.
In particular, the way that Rekognition works is that it uses an SNS topic to really handle that responsive when it's complete and notification piece. So here we're basically interacting through the Rekognition message and looking for the actual job ID, but also in particular which API was called. So here we've got an example where we're looking at the celebrity recognition and also the label detection. Now up above, you can see that we basically go into the get celebrities piece. And this is basically where we iterate over the array, over the API, and effectively get back the assets that Rekognition has been able to find within that video asset. So we start with an empty array. We effectively go through and we basically make our first call to the Rekognition and the celebrity recognition space with the job ID. Now, while we find there's a next token in the response, we'll keep iterating through the Rekognition API, calling it again and again with the next token in that call set. We'll then basically extend on that array and effectively grab all the data sets. We'll then return that back to the calling function set. And in that context, we then basically call into our writing the object out to S3. And then we'll basically let the next flow of the event-driven solution basically take place, which is transforming that and basically making the composite data sets with other machine learning APIs, and as well as internal APIs or metadata associated with the asset.
Wow, such a great example and really quite simple. And I think that's made simple by the fact that you're using the AWS SDKs and you're heavily leveraging the Rekognition APIs. I've noticed in your Get Celebrities function, you're calling this Get Celebrity Rekognition. What's that actually doing?
Yeah, so this is basically taking the job ID and looking at all the assets associated with the celebrity, particularly with the celebrity call, all the celebrities that's identified. So this will basically come back with everything around the IMDb assets, so your Kanye's, all the way down to, say, members of parliament, as well as TV broadcasters here in Australia and Australian celebrities as well. It's quite an extensive database of celebrities.
So members of parliament, that's interesting. So will it also tell me what objects it sees in there, maybe things like onions or potatoes?
Indeed, it actually will. So with the label detection, you can actually provide that as a composite data set to basically find particular celebrities, but again, particular fruits and vegetables such as a potato and an onion.
Fantastic. And then down here, you're writing out to S3. Is this where you're writing out that metadata?
Yeah, so this is where we take that, particularly that celebrity data, writing it out to S3 so that we can then basically, as soon as that hits S3, we can then have another event fire off and transform that, making either the composites or putting it into Elastic or a relational database like Dynamo.
Fantastic. I love the fact that this is completely decoupled and completely event-driven. It's incredibly powerful. How are your customers experiencing this and what benefits are they getting from this approach that you've given them?
Absolutely. We feel that they're able to basically provide not only to their internal customer base, so content editors, copy and scratch producers, but also to their actual customer base externally, whether it be in the live streaming context to provide transcripts, but also provide the metadata associated with who was in the asset and otherwise. So they're really able to leverage that and take advantage of both their old and their new content.
Fantastic. And you're making heavy use of S3. Rekognition requires the data to be in S3, and in order to get it there, you need to do some ingestion. Are customers also looking at this as a mechanism to retire some of their technical or physical debt around having to store archival data?
Absolutely. With S3, as well as its redundancy components and its high reliability and availability, it really is one of the more optimal solutions for basically providing the transition from an analog or physical media base into a digitized platform and storage layer. We really feel it's one of the most leverageable parts where not only can you basically store it at a really cost-effective manner, but you also have the ability to leverage a lot of event-driven systems based off that. So whatever your business logic is, or whatever processing you want to do off the fact, you're able to really leverage that with AWS.
This is such a great solution. I love it. I'm looking forward to seeing how this solution is improving my TV watching experience. Liam, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for joining us on This Is My Code.